Alright guys, so I'm going to be showing you a full flight from Portland International to Seattle International. That's KPDX to KSEA. I'll be flying in the JarDesign A320 on xplane 10. This is a Virgin America flight. So let's just go ahead and get started. So first thing, to call our fuel, we will need to set our parking brake on. So we will go to our parking brake, which is right here.
Park brake on.
Switch that to on. We can call our stairs, we can call our fuel truck. Once our fuel truck gets there, it'll pop open with the box down here that will tell us how much to enter. And I looked online, I believe it's 10,000 pounds of fuel that we'll need. So it's about 5 tons, I think. I think that's what it said. So we'll just enter 5.5 just to be on the safe side. So we will go ahead and click 5.5, hit refuel. So our refueling is started. And once it's done, it'll stop and we can go ahead and get rid of the fuel truck. So that's done. We can go ahead and get rid of the fuel truck. This box will disappear, the fuel truck will go away, and now we can jump back into the cockpit and we can get started with our starter procedure. So first thing we want to do is go ahead and, if you want to be realistic about it, you can test the APU. You can test the fire. We should have the batteries on, I believe, for these tests. See if so the lights light up. So that's all working. We can go ahead and turn our APU master switch on and start our APU. This will turn off and I'll say available. And we can hear the APU is starting up. It will start up in a minute. This plane is great. I do love it. Let's take a look at it from the outside. It's a nice plane. Fun to fly. So it still says on. There we go. Lights off. It's going to say avail. We can hear the APU starting. Now we can turn on our APU bleed, turn on pack 1 and turn on pack 2. We can turn the cockpit, forward cabin, and aft cabin all to center. That's our cooling. Then we can go to this natters, I believe that's what it's called. Flip the switch to STS, flip this to 3, and then flip each individual one to nav. So once it does that, it'll pop up with a STS something PPO. So yeah, we hit enter. So now it's going to take 7 minutes for that to align. We can go ahead and turn on our beacon, wing, nav logo, lights on, our emergency light, set that to arm, seatbelts on, smoking sign on, turn on our overhead lights. You can turn on this light, our INTEG light, and our floodlight. We can flip the switch to our radio. And now that's all set, we can go ahead to the FMS. We'll hit init, and we will select KPDX, and our destination airport is KSEA. We will be flying the River 8 BTG OLM 7 flight route, so we can enter that, and we'll hit align RRS. Enter a call sign just for fun. We'll do VXD 320 Virgin America call sign. We'll enter that into our flight number. Cost index, you can do anywhere between 1 and 999, but typically it's around, I believe, 35 to 55. So I just usually hit 45. So that's set. Now we hit the next page, and we already have our block in there, so we just hit that, and that sets up our fuel and all that prediction. So once that's all set, we can go to our flight plan. So we would hit this very first button on the left, so 1L, we'll hit KPDX, we'll hit the departure, so the first one on the left side, and we are going to be taking off from runway 28 right, so we can go ahead and click the 28 right button, and our departure procedure is going to be River 8, so we can go ahead and hit River 8 and hit insert. So that is set up, so now we can hit KSEA, the destination. So we will be landing at runway 16 center, ILS. So we can go ahead and hit 16 center right there. We will be doing the OLM7, so we can go ahead and hit that. We can hit return, and it's going to be the BTG transition. Hit that, now we can hit insert. So now you see there's no altitude set, so in order to set that, we'll do that in a second, but first we'll go to performance. For the DRT to flex to, I usually just always hit F55, seems to do good. I don't know exactly what that does, but. And flaps for THS, you can actually find your THS by hitting load. It says 0.1 down, so since it says 0.1 down, I think I'll just do 0.5, so you will hit 2/up 0.5. You can hit 0.1 if you want to, but we'll do 0.5. You can see our what's it called? I forgot what, I just drew a blank on what that's called, but yeah. Then for V1, VR, V2, you'll just use the whatever they give you, the default. So 130, 135, and 149. Those are our V speeds. Our transition altitude is 5,000. We can leave that. You can change that if you want to, but that's what my transition altitude is anyway, so it's fine. Then we go to the prog page, and this is where we can set our cruise altitude. So you'll hit FL, ours is 18,000 feet, so we'll hit FL 180 for 18,000. We can set that. So now if we go to our flight plan, you can see all our altitudes are there. So at top of climb, that's where we should hit our cruise altitude, and that's 20 nautical miles away from our takeoff. And then BTG is our transition, and then top of descent, and that's when we start our top of descent. That's when we start our descent into Seattle. So that's all good. We can go back up to the top. Okay, so the flight plan, everything is set up. And now next what we want to do is go ahead and get the stairs away, so we can get rid of that. We can close our doors. And if you want to check your doors, you click on the door button. So we have 3 doors open, 2 cargo doors and the cabin door, so we can go ahead and close that, close that, close that, and we will see that those 3 are going to leave, or they're turn green. 1, 2, and 3. So that's all good. So we are ready to taxi back, and then we will start our engine. So we will call the tow. We will hit the go button, and they should be pushing us back. We also need the check
off.
So our ILS frequency is already set, but if you needed to set your ILS, you would just click on the rad nav button, and then you'd type in your frequency, and then just hit ILS frequency. But ours is already set, so we don't need to type that. Now that we're getting pushed back, go ahead and out. It's a beautiful day. It's an early morning flight. And we can go ahead and jump back in. Now we can basically, once we get straight, go ahead and hit the go button, and we can say bye to the tow. We can get rid of the tow basically.
Park brake on.
Our park brake automatically turns on. We can now go ahead and flip our taxi light on. Our landing lights, we can go ahead and turn those on and turn our strobe to auto. So all our lights are on, everything's good. Now we can go ahead and start our engines. So in order to start the engines, we want to turn off left pumps. We want to turn off the center, or turn on the center pumps, I apologize. Turn on the left pumps, turn on the center pumps, and turn on the right pumps. And once we do that, we can go down here to the engine mode selector and select that to ignition start. And
starting engine 2.
Go ahead and start engine 2. We will hear engine 2 throttle up, and we can also see it throttling up right there. IRS in the line is in 1 more minute before it's aligned. And there we go, that's aligned. So our engine 2 is starting and it's going good. You can wait till it hits 20, or you can just go ahead and start it. We'll just do it properly, so we'll wait. So that's started. Now we can go ahead
starting
and
engine 1.
Start engine 1. And then to check our barometric pressure, go to look a little map. Click on the KPDX. 29999 is our altimeter. I can't ever get it to stay exactly at 29999, so I just do 2998. I don't know why it won't go to exactly 2999 as much as I try. It won't ever stay at 2999, so I don't know what's up with that. But for now, we can go ahead and turn on our flight, or our flight director should be turned on. And we can set our altitude to 5,000, which is our initial flight level. So both engines are going. We can go ahead and turn off our APU. So we'll turn off the master bleed, turn off that, and start should be off. So everything's looking good. And now we will go ahead and taxi out to runway 28 right. No, first let's turn off our parking brake.
Park brake off.
Alright. So now we are set. ahead now and set our
Flaps
flaps.
1.
And we will set them to 2 because that's what we set.
Flaps 2.
Alright. So we are at the lineup gate. Lineup line, I should say. Everything is looking good. And we'll do one more check. Make sure everything is set. Engine, we'll select this back to, so the engine mode switch, we would select that back to norm. And everything looks good to go. So we will do this now. So we will probably just be doing a rolling takeoff. Once we get centered away, we'll give it the power that we need. Alright, so here we go. Power's engaged. You'll see MAN FLX 55 right there.
Power set.
You'll hear power set, and then you'll hear the calls of 100, V1, rotate. So just keep it lined up straight with the runway.
Positive climb. Gear up.
So now at this point we go ahead and engage autopilot.
Autopilot 1, cross-check.
And we can set our speed. Want to set it to about 200. So set that to 200. Go ahead and lift our flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
And now we pulled back on the throttles. We set it to throttle climb. Once we hit 200, we'll lift our second flaps up. And we're there. Flaps 2
Speed
up.
check. Flaps 0.
And now we are good. We are climbing on our route. We have set our speed to 200. We must stay under 250, under 10,000 feet. We could go a little higher if we wanted to, but 200 should be fine for right now. We are making a right-hand turn to BTG. BTG, we should be at 8,000 feet flight level. So right now, if we were doing a VATSIM or something, they would tell us something about going to our cruise altitude, it's fine, or what have you. So as we get on path, we will go ahead and lift up our speed to 240 or 235 we could do. So you see our speed climbing right there. We can go ahead and set our altitude to, let's do this by the thousands. So we'll click on the thousands, and now we can go up by, we'll set our cruise altitude. So by the time we hit BTG, we should be at 8,000. Our airspeed is 240. We have it set to 235, but 240 is fine. You gotta click the altitude, so you gotta get this hand and then click the lever to change it. Our throttle climb, which is good. We hit 5,000, so we must hit the
Standard baro cross-check.
Standard.
Flight level 051.
You heard that. The standard baro cross-check. You gotta hit that at 5,000. And yeah, now we are climbing. We will be climbing to 18,000. We should hit around 8,000 once we hit BTG. Climbing at 235 knots is our airspeed. Everything is looking good. We are in throttle climb, which is what we should be for our power. Flaps are up. Everything's looking good. And by the way, if you were flying online like VATSIM or Pilot's Edge, this is your squawk box. So you would change your squawk box when they request it. I'm not flying on anything for demonstration purposes, just doing a basic flight and show you how to use it. The JAR A320. Basically how to cold and dark start, to takeoff, to FMS, flight plan, and ILS landing. So we're going to come in a little under what they requested on the, they said 8,800 feet. We will be at 8,200 feet, but it's not a big deal. We are close relative ballpark, and we're still on the BTG, but okay, there, now it's switched. Now it's going to change the top of climb. The top of climb, we should hit flight level 1800 before we get there, which I see us doing. That is about 20 nautical miles away, and there's our countdown to how far we are. So we're 19 nautical miles away. We are at 9,000 feet. Our vertical speed is 2,900 feet per minute. Yeah, this is a good climb. Once we hit 10,000 feet, we can go ahead and turn off our lights, our landing lights. So we hit 10,000 feet, we'll go ahead and turn this off, turn that off. And yeah, let's go check outside, see how it looks. There's Portland Airport back there. Change it to still spot. Go on our initial climb. There's the sun rising, and there we go. Let's jump back in. So we're approaching 1,200 feet. 12,000 feet, I apologize, not 1,200. thing I forgot to mention. Before you take off, you should set your spoilers, but for some reason you can't use the mouse to set your spoiler on this plane. Like, the mouse won't do anything if I click it. As much as I click it, it's not going to do anything. And I haven't set up a key command for it yet, so I gotta do that. But you should probably set up a key command and to use your spoilers. I don't know why it's inoperable with the mouse, which is kind of weird. It's pretty important. I mean, not that important, but it's pretty important. So we're at 15,000 feet right now. We will enjoy the flight. Great looking plane, huh? It's beautiful. Alright. So I don't know if you can see this little white arrow right there. That's our top of climb. Right there, that's that. That's why if you go up, you'll see Kuga and top of climb. Kuga is 0 nautical miles away from it, and that's because Kuga is basically on top of our top of climb. They're basically the same spot. So we should be at 18,000 feet once we hit Kuga, which will be we should hit 18,000 feet probably right now, so we'll be perfectly fine for that. Now our altitude is set, our speed is checked. We should be leveling out, and we can go ahead and, once we level out, go ahead and bump up that speed. So we will get it to, we can do 290, we can even do 300, we can do 320 if we wanted, we'll do 300. So you'll see our speed's going to climb. And now we can go ahead and turn off the fasten seatbelt sign. So we are approaching 300 knots. And let's scroll in here. So we can go ahead and click this up. Our next waypoint or point on the flight path is OLM. So once we get around there, that's when we can start the top of descent, because it's basically 3 nautical miles out. So we'll go ahead and start our descent at OLM, which shows we're 49 nautical miles away. a snapshot of this. Perfect. Jump back in. So yeah, I'll just enjoy this flight. And then I'll just cut back to when we're on our descent. Alright guys, so we are about 13 nautical miles away from OLM. I haven't figured out how to make the autopilot follow the altitude selected. So if any of you guys know how to do that, just throw it in the comments below. But that would be nice. I don't know if JAR actually created that so that it'll hit the set altitude before it hits the waypoint. I know most planes, like the Bombardier Challenger, does that with VNAV. I don't know how to do the VNAV on here. I don't know if there is even a function for it. But I will try to look that up, and once I figure that out, I'll definitely do a video on that, because that's pretty important. But now we're about 9 nautical miles away from OLM, so we can go ahead and back off on our speed as we start our descent. We will drop this down to 280. We'll go ahead and flip the seatbelt signs on. By the time we hit Fort, we should be at 10,000 feet. So I will go ahead and start the descent now, just so we can hit the 10,000 foot mark. I will go ahead and set this to 10,000. We'll go ahead and click that. You always got to click that. So now I changed the flight level 10,000, and we will be descending. Our vertical speed is going down, so about 2,200, 2,300 feet per minute.
We are close to top of descent, sir.
So again, once we hit 10,000, we will go ahead and turn on our landing lights. And when we get to 5,000, we have to pull this back out. So it gives us the 2999. Seattle should be off in the distance somewhere. Don't know if we could see it yet. That might be it right there, actually. Kinda looks like it. Yeah, I think that is it. That's Seattle International. Got the beautiful sunrise right there. So our vertical speed is going good still. We're 14,000. Don't forget we should be at 10,000 once we hit 4. Must be at 250 at or under 10,000. So once we get to 11,000, we will go ahead and set our speed to 250. So we are approaching Arvad. We just passed 12,500 and going down steadily, 1,700 feet per minute. Sorry for the loss of frame rate. So we are at 12,000. Go ahead and slow our speed down to 240. Turn on our speed brakes.
Spoilers half.
As you see, our descent stops because we're slowing down, so the plane levels out.
Spoilers retracted.
We're going to retract them again since we're about to hit our set speed. We'll probably be a little bit above where we should be just because we did the speed adjust. So as you see, our flight level's set still. But we could always change the vertical speed if we wanted to make it descend faster. But once it hits that speed that you set to, it starts descending again. So we have approximately 5 nautical miles until we hit Fort, which is not a big deal if we're above 10,000, because we still have to go over here and we have to be around 2,000 once we hit I believe it's Impumi. I don't know what it is, to be honest. Anvil. We should be at 2,000. So we'll be a little bit above. 10,000 once we hit Fort. Go ahead and turn on our lights. And that wasn't bad. We're 200 feet above. If we would have slowed down a little sooner, we would have been perfect. But now that we hit that, we can go ahead and drop this down to 3,000 feet. So we should hit 3,000 feet by the time we hit Anvil. Technically it says we should be at 1,900 feet, but we do 3,000 as we get close, and then once we get closer we'll drop it down to 1,900, I apologize, not 1,000. But our speed is still good. We're at 240. Where we should be under 10,000, we need to be under 250 or under. So that is all right. Everything is looking good. There's Seattle, Tacoma. Nope, that's Boeing Field. Seattle, Tacoma is to the right of us. Somewhere down here. Drop the speed down to 220.
Spoilers half.
Set our speed brake so it goes down a little faster.
Spoilers retracted.
Go ahead and retract them. Keep doing our descent. So this magenta dot means we're above our level that we should be at. We should have been at 6,100 by the time we hit this magenta dot. And then you can tell from that magenta dot that we're above what we should have been at. But by the time we get to Anvil, we should be fine. I'm hoping. If not, we could always just go over here, click on that, and we can do our descent to go faster, 2,000 feet per minute. We can do 2,500. Our speed will go up, but then we can always just
Spoilers half.
Extend our speed brakes.
Spoilers full.
That's what the speed brakes are for. They're great. And as you see, we're descending at 2,500 feet per minute, which is going to get us down to 3,000 pretty fast by the time we hit Anvil.
Approach phase activated.
So now we're at 6,800. So we got 3,000 more feet to go. Go ahead and set our speed to 200 now. We're at 5,300. We set it to 3,000 until we get to Anvil, which is fine. Our speed brakes are full. Seattle is right down there. The Space Needle should be somewhere around right there. There's the Space Needle right there. And we are approaching 3,000. Go ahead and set this down to 2,000 now. We'll do what they required, 1,900, so we'll go ahead and switch that to, we'll do 1,800, or we'll do 1,900 like they requested. And we will go ahead and click that. We still want our vertical speed to take us down 2,500 feet per minute, so we get down there quicker, because we want to be at 1,900 when we hit SODE. We gotta click the stand STD. Our airspeed is at 235, 3,300 feet. Go ahead and drop our landing gear. We should be making our right-hand turn very soon. And we will be fine hitting that 1,900 mark. No problem to hit that right now. And there's our meter right there, so we'll go ahead and click that off.
Radio altimeter alive.
Be dropping down to 200. This should be coming back up to 0 and staying at 1,900. That's going to come and give us even. Altitude set 200. Go ahead.
Speed check. Flaps 1.
Drop our flaps down 1. We can go ahead now and hit ILS, and we can select, once we make this turn, we'll select approach. We got our landing gear down, which is great. And we will go ahead and bring down our speed now to 185. So we hit 185, which is good. As you see, it's coming down now. Our speed's coming down, set to 185. It's good. We're at 1,900 feet. That says 1,900 now, which is good. We will land at 135 knots is our landing speed.
Speed check. Flaps 2.
We'll go ahead and set our flaps 2. Drop our speed down to 160. So we are at 160 now, and we will select approach. We can go ahead and hit auto. See how it says single? We can hit AP2.
Autopilot 2. Cross check.
Now it's set to dual, Cat 3 runway. And this is our glide slope. So once this lines up with this and this lines up with this GS will turn green and take over the altitude. Then all we have to do is control the speed. So once we hit sortie, or whatever that says, what does that say? Once we hit SOTO, we will make our left-hand turn, and that's when our glide slope will start getting active and moving. But so far we are good. The runway should be right there. There it is right there, 16 center. And our glide slope meter is moving down, so that is good. And once we make the left-hand turn, this will start moving, which is perfectly fine. This is how it should be. And that's coming down closer. And there we go. So that one now is moving towards the center line. That one is almost on the center line, and glide slope is active. So now we are going to be taken in by autopilot. And we're a little off the runway, but this will correct itself and pull us back on path. Go ahead and turn the speed off, and we will take over our speed ourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been cleared to land at the
Oh,
arrival airport.
we shouldn't take the speed off, actually.
Last time your seatbelt.
Terrain. Pull up.
Are currently passing around the cabin to make a final compliance check and pick up any remaining cuts and glasses. Thank you.
Terrain. Pull up.
Spoilers half. Spoilers full.
So
1,000.
that was my mistake. You don't want to turn the speed off. We'll set it to 136. And we are approaching 136. Glide slope is still active. We got the 3 greens. Everything's looking good.
$500.
Auto land will turn on right here.
400. $300.
low, flaps. Too low, flaps. Too low,
200.
flaps. Too low, flaps. Too low, flaps.
100 above.
100.
Too low, flaps.
50.
Ground
40.
low,
30.
flaps.
Minimum.
Too
Reverse
low,
range.
flaps.
So not the best landing, but it did the job. We landed safely on the ground.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Go ahead and turn auto throttle off. Turn our speed off.
70 knots.
And we can go ahead and taxi out. Retract our flaps.
1. Flaps 0.
Got our flaps to 0. Oh. I can't see where I'm going. Computer's going slow. Go ahead and set this to taxi if I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Arrival Airport. For your safety and comfort,
So yeah, my computer is acting up.
fastened until the captain turns off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Go ahead and set that to taxi.
That we have marked to indicate that it is safe for you to move.
And we would stop right here.
For any personal belongings you may have brought on board.
Get clearance from
Opening the overhead bin. As
ATC to cross the runway. So we will go ahead and cross the runway now.
and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we are looking forward to seeing you on.
And we will taxi over to our gate. Go ahead and turn off the seatbelt sign. Turn on APU bleed. And go ahead and turn off engine 2 and 1. So those are off. Go ahead and turn off all our lights now. And we can go ahead and turn pack 1 and pack 2 are on. And there's our gate right there. We can go ahead and open the doors. Cargo back left and right. And as you see, we have our gate already attached to the door. Go ahead and call ground, call catering. And if we needed to refuel, we would refuel for our next flight. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.